Okay, so welcome back. This is part two of the business and life lessons that can be learned from the Cat Williams and Club Shay Shay interview. Now, if you didn't listen to part one, listen to part one. Yesterday, when we were on part one, we talked about how the interview had gotten 34 million views, over 34 million views. Today, part two, from 5 days ago. So this interview happened 5 days ago. In the last 5 days, it has gotten over 37 million views. 37 million people, over 37 million people have sat and tuned in to the nearly 3 hour interview to listen to what Cat Williams has to say. And while everybody is going around spilling the tea and looking for receipts and all that other good stuff, we are doing it differently. We are talking about the life and business lessons that entrepreneurs and CEOs can get from this Cat Williams and Club Shay Shay interview. So, again, if you didn't listen to part one, go back and listen to it. Part two, famous doesn't always matter. Cat Williams said during that interview that he doesn't go on everybody's show. The shows that he goes on are usually famous talk show hosts that people know of, right? The big names that are on television, daytime television, late night television, those guys. Those are the shows that he usually frequents. He usually doesn't frequent podcast shows and people who are not name brand. We'll use that term. But because of the way that Shay Shay conducts himself, as was spoken about yesterday in part one, Cat Williams decided that Shay Shay didn't need to be famous. He had paid attention to him. He liked what he saw. He liked what he heard. He liked what he felt. And so that goes to show that you don't always have to be famous to be watched. You don't always have to be famous to be listened to. You don't always have to be famous for opportunities to come your way. You just have to be doing part one and those lessons that we talked about in part one. All right, number two. The lesson that can be learned is don't sleep on anyone. Cat Williams talked about how the other comedians thought that he was a nobody. So they felt comfortable disrespecting him. They thought he'd never be a somebody. So they felt comfortable disrespecting him. This interview has taught folks, or should teach you, to never underestimate a person. Never underestimate your employees. Never underestimate your clients. Never underestimate a person. Never underestimate someone who is trying to come up just like you are. Never underestimate your competition. Never underestimate anyone because you do not know when their opportunity to rise like a phoenix is going to happen. And see, people have long memories when they've been done wrong. And so when you do someone wrong, when you disrespect them, when you dishonor them, and it doesn't matter if it's an employee or a client, or a competitor, they will remember. And then they'll do what Cat Williams does, or does and did, is collect receipts. And those receipts will come back to bite you on your behind when he or she is ready to speak, which is exactly what is happening right now. They disrespected him. They underestimated him. They thought he didn't matter. And so he started collecting receipts. And so now that he's spoken with receipts. So don't underestimate anyone. Don't disrespect anyone. Because you create a monster that you cannot kill when you do stuff like that. You start to ruin your reputation. You start to ruin your business when you do stuff like that. See, because they disrespected him and because they underestimated him and because they thought that they could steal from him and actually do so and thought there would be no consequences because some time has passed. But because they thought of that, he collected receipts. And now he's blasted his enemies publicly. Those who disrespected him and dishonored him, he's blasting them publicly, but he has receipts. And he's making people go digging in the crates because now people are looking at Steve Harvey. They're looking at not Cat Williams, Kevin Hart, and all the other comedians that he named. People are now going back through the archives and finding out that Cat Williams isn't the liar that people would like him to believe, and all this other stuff, right? Don't underestimate people. This is a lesson that should be learned. Don't disrespect people. Do not dishonor them. It will come back and bite you on the behind. Which leaves us to the next point. Receipts may be out there. So be careful how you treat people because there are some people that keep receipts. In the days since the interview, receipts proving Cat Williams was truthful about a multitude of things on that interview has come out. Receipts that those who lied on him, stole from him, and disrespected him forgot about. See, you got to be careful what you do. You don't know who has the receipts. That man said that people tell him stuff. He knows a whole lot of stuff about a whole lot of people. He has a whole lot of receipts. Why? Because they created that monster. Do not disrespect your employees. Do not disrespect your competition. Do not disrespect your clients because you don't know what kind of conversations they are having, who they are having them with. And you don't know who else doesn't like you and who else you disrespected. And now when two people start to get together and the receipts start to get to piling up and created, you have a problem. Your business has a problem. Your position is a problem. You have people on Twitter who will go back 10, 12, 15 years to find a receipt out on you if your behavior warrants that. So be careful what you do. Because here's the thing, you may forget, but people don't. People never forget how you make them feel. So be careful what you do because you don't know who's collecting receipts. The other thing, keep receipts for yourself. Cat Williams was able to say a lot of what he said because he had the receipts to back it up. He had video receipts and receipts of all kinds to prove that he wasn't lying about certain things despite the rebuttal. He has over 30 years of receipts. 30 years! He stated that he couldn't continue to let people disparage his name and reputation, so he started collecting and keeping receipts. Listen, keep receipts for yourself so that you have the power to dispel any lie or rumor brought against you and or your business. Doesn't matter your position. Doesn't matter if you're the janitor or the CEO. Doesn't matter if you have one employee or none. Keep receipts for yourself. Protect your reputation at all costs because in the business community and when it comes to people spending money, that is all that you have. People will always remember how you make them feel. So be careful of the disrespect. Okay, that is it for part 2. Tomorrow's part 3. In the meantime, visit our website, www.lishoneandassociates.com. Later.